Years have passed since the final war. We catch up with Deku as he reflects on everything that's happened. He's no longer the reckless kid chasing his dreams of becoming the world's greatest hero. Instead, he's become a teacher at UA, helping the next generation just as his own teachers helped him once. Society has changed too. Heroes are still admired, but they are no longer seen as the only worthwhile career. Little by little, everyone's efforts have nudged society in a healthier direction. We get to see Class A1, where they ended up. Some characters have changed, others hardly at all, but every single one of them feels like the natural continuation of the people we watched grow through the series. Deku encourages a young boy to chase his dreams. As he is walking towards UA, All Might surprises him with a power suit that allows him to return to hero work whenever he chooses so. Then the epilogue continues. Ochako dedicates herself to educating children about quirks, all while still carrying Toga's memory with her, trying to understand what her dreams of her meant. Later, Bakugo gives Deku a ride to the reunion. During the ride, Deku admits that he's happy. Teaching fulfills him. Even if hero work has become secondary, he still feels like he's helping people. Ironically, it's Bakugo, the person that once told him to jump off a building, who reminds Deku that life isn't only about helping others. It's okay to pursue his own happiness too. Finally, everyone gathers for dinner. We see what life has taken each member of Class 1A. Some had changed, some had created their own agency, some had to start from zero again, one became the number 2 hero. How Hero Society has continued to evolve, and how the world keeps moving forward. The story ends with Ochako and Deku finally acknowledging their feelings for one another, that they have been carrying for years, and taking their first step towards a future together. The end. And then there is one more day. I even need to explain what happened there. Spider-Man fans had already survived Maximum Carnage, the Clone Saga, and countless other editorial disasters. Then Marvel erased Peter Parker's marriage to Mary Jane. Years of growth, years of relationships, years of emotional development, poof! Gone. Replaced with a whole lot of character assassination. All to restore Spider-Man to the version editorial considered the most recognizable. Young, single, struggling, and perpetually miserable. And that's the real difference I want to talk about. This is not unique to Spider-Man. Comic books have been doing this for decades. Universes get rebooted, timelines rewritten, reality gets reset, flashback paradox, the new 52, one more day, etc, etc, Crisis of Infinity Earths. The list goes on and on. How many times has Thor lost Mjolnir only to inevitably get it back? At this point I'm convinced it happens once or twice every decade. Then there is the issue of creative teams. Unlike manga where one author guides the story from beginning to end, superhero comics constantly rotate writers. Sometimes you get creators who truly understand the characters. Sometimes you get talented writers who simply aren't interested in them. And sometimes it feels like the character was handed over to someone who really hates them. I mean, how else do you explain Paul? Ugh. The result is that certain things can never truly change. The Joker always comes back. Poison Ivy eventually becomes an eco-terrorist again. Thor always gets Mjolnir back. Batman always has to put the cowl back. Spider-Man somehow always ends up broken and miserable. The status quo always wins. Now, this is in a video by Shin Comics, or claiming that manga is inherently superior. Some of my favorite stories ever are comic books. The Sentry miniseries still gives me chills. Watchmen is a masterpiece, and Minuteman is incredible. There are countless amazing comic stories. The difference is in quality. The difference is that manga are usually allowed to end, and on the other hand, most superhero comics aren't. We'll probably never see Peter Parker grow old. pass the mantle to the next generation and hopefully die after a long, fulfilling life. We'll probably never watch Gotham slowly heal until Batman is no longer needed. We'll probably never see Bruce Banner permanently overcome the Hulk and finally find peace, because those endings will mean that there are no more stories to sell. Now, there are exceptions. Invincible ended and The Boys ended, but those stories, as far as I know, belonged to their creators. Robert Kirkman didn't have to preserve Invincible as a corporate mascot forever, and he told the story that he wanted to tell. When it reached his natural conclusion, it ended. And that's okay. Of course, endings aren't always perfect. If anything, they are one of the hardest parts of writing. Just ask the author of Hoshi no Ko. Ugh. But at least manga authors are allowed to attempt an ending. Mainstream superhero comics rarely get the chance, and when they do, eventually everything gets reset. The same thing can happen outside of comics too. Look at Dragon Ball. By the end of Dragon Ball Z, Goku had become a complete martial artist. He still loved fighting, but he had learned humility, responsibility, sacrifice, and some self-control over decades of storytelling. Then Dragon Ball Super arrived. Suddenly Goku has to relearn lessons that he mastered years ago. He forgets the importance of meditation. He acts recklessly in situations the older Goku will hate shown some wisdom. It is as if the story needed him to become simpler so there will be still room for growth. Sometimes continuing a story for way too long just doesn't stall the character. It also starts doing that. Fortunately, there are exceptions. They could emerge Spider-Man 2024 as one of them. Instead of asking, how do we make Peter Parker young and miserable again? It asks a much more interesting question. What if Peter Parker became Spider-Man after he had already been married and with children? Instead of resenting Peter's life, the comic builds on it. His family isn't treated as baggage. His marriage isn't something waiting to be undone. Being Spider-Man becomes another responsibility to balance alongside being a husband and a father. It doesn't abandon the Spider-Man mythos, it refreshes them. Ironically, this is an alternate universe, not the main continuity. But maybe that's part of the answer. Instead of endlessly stretching one timeline until it breaks, maybe stories should be allowed to end. 10 years later, start all over from the beginning with a new interpretation of the character. After all, we have been retelling myths for thousands of years. Maybe superheroes should be treated the same way. I don't know if that's the right answer. What do you think? Should comic book heroes eventually be allowed to finish their journeys and pass the torch? Or are reboots and status quo resets simply the price we hate to pay for keeping these icons alive for another 80 years? Thanks for listening to my ramblings. And don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Over out!